My phone started ringing at 8:17 in the morning. Too early for friends, too late for spam calls. For a second, I just stared at the screen, half awake, heart already beating faster for no reason. The company logo flashed across the top, the same company I had interviewed with 3 times last week. The same one that had smiled at me, shaken my hand, and said, "We'll be in touch very soon." My chest tightened. This was it. This had to be the offer. I wiped my palms on my jeans before answering, trying to sound calm, professional, like someone whose life wasn't hanging by a single phone call. "Hello, this is Alex speaking." There was a pause, papers shuffling, a soft, uncomfortable breath on the other end. "Hi, Alex, this is Megan from HR." Her voice wasn't excited. It wasn't warm. It sounded careful. The kind of careful people use when they're about to deliver bad news. Still, I forced a smile she couldn't see. "Yes, hi, good morning." Another pause, then she said it. "So, before moving forward, we conducted a routine background and reference check." Routine, normal, safe words, but my stomach dropped anyway. "And we received a concerning call." A concerning call. My fingers tightened around the phone. "What kind of call?" I asked, already afraid of the answer. She hesitated like she wasn't sure she should continue. "It was from your parents." For a second, I thought I misheard her. "My what?" "Your parents contacted us directly," she said softly. "They said they felt we should know something about your history before hiring you." My mouth went dry. I hadn't told my parents about this job. I hadn't told anyone. How would they even know? I whispered, more to myself than to her. "They claimed," she continued carefully, "that you've stolen money from family members before. They advised us not to trust you with company property." The words didn't register at first. Stolen. Money. Not trust you, my own parents, saying that about me. I actually laughed, a small, confused sound like this had to be some ridiculous mistake. "That's not true," I said quickly. "There must be some misunderstanding. I've never—" "I understand," she interrupted gently. "But from a liability standpoint, we can't proceed." Can't proceed just like that. Weeks of interviews, tests, hope, gone in one sentence. "I'm sorry," she added. Sorry. Everyone was always sorry. The line went quiet, then dead. I kept holding the phone to my ear long after the call ended. My apartment felt too silent, too empty. Then it hit me. This wasn't the first time. The bookstore last month, the warehouse job before that, the cafe last year. Every time things went perfectly until suddenly they didn't, until someone heard something, until doors quietly closed. My heart started pounding harder, cold realization creeping up my spine. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't bad luck. Someone had been talking, someone had been calling. Someone had been ruining my life before it even had the chance to start. And somehow it was my own parents. I stared at the dark phone screen, my reflection looking back at me like a stranger. That's when I understood something terrifying. This wasn't just rejection. This was sabotage, complete. I didn't call my parents after that. I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't demand answers, because deep down, something ugly had already started making sense. It wasn't like this behavior came out of nowhere. If I was being honest with myself, it had always been there, just smaller, quieter, harder to name. When I was a kid, people used to say we looked like the perfect family. The kind neighbors complimented, the kind teachers trusted, the kind relatives admired at weddings. My parents loved that image. They polished it like glass, smiling in public, laughing loudly, bringing expensive gifts to gatherings. But inside the house, things felt different, colder, controlled, like I was always one mistake away from being judged. "Don't touch that, you'll break it." "Why are you so careless?" "Why can't you be normal like other kids?" Little comments, every day, like water dripping on stone. At first, I thought it was just strict parenting. Then it became something else, something heavier. If money went missing, even a few dollars, my mom would look straight at me. "Did you take it?" Not "did you see it?" Not "do you know what happened?" Straight to blame, every time, if a glass broke me, if something got lost me, if anything went wrong me. I remember once when I was 10, my dad couldn't find his wallet. He didn't even search. He just stood in the hallway and shouted, "Bring it back, now." Like it was already proven, like I was already guilty. They found it later in his car. No apology, just silence. Like the accusation had never happened. Like my humiliation didn't count. After years of that, you start believing something's wrong with you. Like maybe you really are careless. Maybe you really are suspicious. Maybe you deserve the blame. That's how they controlled me. Not with hitting, not with screaming, with doubt. Constant, quiet doubt. The worst part, everyone else adored them. Teachers said, "You're lucky to have such supportive parents." Neighbors called them kind-hearted. Relatives said, "They sacrifice so much for you." I used to nod and smile. Because who would believe me if I said otherwise? Who would choose the awkward, quiet kid over two charming adults? No one, except one person, Grandma. Her house always smelled like cardamom tea and old books, soft yellow lights, slow ceiling fans, peace. She never asked accusing questions, never looked at me like I was a problem to solve. She'd just sit beside me and say, "You look tired, come eat first." Like my existence wasn't something that needed justification. Sometimes when my parents weren't around, she'd watch them carefully. Not angry, not surprised, just observant, like she already knew something the rest of us didn't. Once, when I was maybe 12, she said something strange while brushing my hair back from my face. Some people protect their reputation more than their children. I didn't understand what she meant back then. Now it echoed in my head like a warning I had ignored. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. The accusations, the blame. The way they always painted me as difficult to others. Maybe they hadn't started ruining my life recently. Maybe they'd been building this story about me for years, and I had just been too young to see it. Say next when you're ready for part 3. Next part 3, expanded approximately 550 words the first time it happened. I told myself it was just bad luck. Everyone has a bad first job story, right? I was 16, nervous and ridiculously proud of the cheap black uniform hanging in my closet. It was just a small grocery store on the corner, nothing special, but to me it felt like freedom. My own money, my own hours, my own life starting. For the first time, I didn't feel trapped inside my parents' shadow. The manager liked me immediately, said I was polite, responsible. Good kid. Those 2 words stayed with me for days. Good kid. No one had ever called me that before. I worked hard, showed up early, counted change twice, helped old customers carry bags to their cars. I even started saving tips in a small jar labeled Move Out Fund. Every shift felt like proof that maybe my parents were wrong about me. Maybe I wasn't careless. Maybe I wasn't a problem. Maybe I was normal. Then one Tuesday afternoon, the manager asked me to come to the back office. His smile was gone. He wouldn't look me in the eyes. There was a piece of paper on the desk between us. "I'm really sorry," he said, those 3 words again, always sorry. "For what?" I asked, confused. He rubbed the back of his neck. "We got a call this morning." My stomach tightened. "A call? From your family?" Family. The word sounded strange coming from him. "They said we should be careful, that you have a history of taking things." I blinked. "Taking what?" He lowered his voice. "Stealing." The air left my lungs. "No," I said instantly. "That's not true." "I would never." "I believe you," he interrupted quickly. "But from a business perspective, I can't take risks. I hope you understand." Understand? Understand what? That my own family just branded me a criminal. That I was losing my job for something I didn't do. I walked home that day in a daze, uniform folded under my arm like something dirty. When I opened the front door, my parents were sitting at the dining table, drinking tea like nothing in the world was wrong. "You're home early," my mom said casually. "I got fired," I said. She didn't look surprised, not even a little. "Oh," she replied, "maybe it wasn't the right fit." I stared at her. "You called them, didn't you?" Both of them froze for half a second, then my dad sighed like I was being dramatic. "We were just being honest," he said. "Employers deserve to know what kind of person they're hiring." "What kind of person?" My voice shook. "I didn't steal anything," my mom shrugged. "Well, you were always careless with money. Things disappear around you. We didn't want them blaming us later." It felt like getting slapped. "So you ruined my job?" "We protected ourselves," my dad corrected coldly. "Protected themselves from me." That night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, something heavy settling in my chest. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't concern. It wasn't parenting. It was intentional. And the worst part, that grocery store wasn't the last time. It was only the beginning. After the grocery store job, I stopped celebrating good news. Because every time something good happened, it disappeared. Like someone out there had a personal vendetta against my happiness. At 17, I got hired at a small bookstore downtown. The owner was sweet, gray-haired, the kind of woman who recommended novels like they were medicine. She said I had a trustworthy face. I almost laughed when she said that. Trustworthy. If only she knew. For 2 weeks, everything was calm. Quiet shelves, soft music, the smell of paper and coffee. It felt safe. Then one morning, she called me into her office. Same routine. Door closed, chair across the desk, hands folded together. "I'm so sorry," she said. My heart didn't even race this time. It just sank, like my body already knew. "We received a call," she continued gently, "from someone claiming to be your parents." There it was again, like a curse. "They said you had a history of stealing cash at home. They begged me not to trust you around the register." Begged. They made it sound dramatic, dangerous, like I was some kind of threat. I didn't argue this time, didn't defend myself, didn't explain, because what was the point? Adults believed other adults, not kids, not me. By the time I turned 20, it had happened 5 times. A cafe, a warehouse, a call center, a delivery job. Every single one followed the same pattern. Interview goes great. Manager smiles, training starts. Then suddenly cold stares, short replies, "We'll call you later." Or the famous line, "We decided to move forward with another candidate." But once, just once, I overheard the truth. I had gone back to a cafe to ask about my final paycheck. The assistant manager didn't know I was standing outside the office door. "She seemed fine," he said. But her parents sounded really convincing, said she steals from everyone. Why would parents lie about their own kid? They both laughed awkwardly. "Yeah, that's messed up, must be true then." Must be true, because parents don't lie, because family means honesty, because who would sabotage their own child? Apparently mine. After that, something changed. Friends stopped recommending me for work. Relatives gave me strange looks at gatherings. Once, my aunt actually hid her purse when I walked into the room, like it was instinct, like she'd already heard stories. My parents would just sit there smiling, acting normal, serving tea, laughing with everyone. Perfect hosts, perfect victims, perfect liars, and I started noticing something else. Something terrifying they always knew. Every job, every interview, even when I didn't tell them. Somehow they found out. A neighbor mentioned it. A relative passed it along. Or maybe they were just watching me that closely, tracking me, waiting, like hunters. Every opportunity I chased, they were already there first. Planting poison. Slowly, quietly destroying my reputation before I even walked through the door. One night, sitting alone in my tiny apartment, rejection email open on my laptop, I felt something heavier than sadness. Not anger, not even heartbreak, it was exhaustion. The kind that seeps into your bones. The kind that whispers, maybe they're right. Maybe something really is wrong with you. And for the first time, I almost believed it. The breaking point didn't come with shouting or tears. It came quietly. Like a door closing for the last time. By then, I had stopped telling my parents anything important. No interviews, no applications, no plans. I learned to move in silence like a tenant in my own life. But this job, this one felt different. It wasn't another temporary shift or minimum wage grind. It was a real position. Salary, benefits, growth. The kind of job people build futures on. I had applied online, late at night, half expecting nothing. But they called back. Then another interview. Then another. 3 rounds, each one better than the last. The hiring manager even said, "Honestly, you're our top candidate." Top candidate. I repeated those words in my head for days, like they might disappear if I stopped. For the first time in years, I let myself imagine things. Paying rent without panic, buying groceries without calculating every dollar. Maybe moving to a better apartment. Maybe finally leaving this town. Maybe finally escaping them. I didn't tell my parents, not a word. I even turned off social media. Didn't mention it to relatives, didn't celebrate. I protected it like a secret treasure. The final interview ended on a Friday. "Expect our call Monday," HR said, smiling. All weekend, I barely slept. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Monday morning, I dressed nicely anyway, like I might walk straight into the office if they called. 8:03 a.m. my phone rang. Unknown number. My hands started shaking before I even answered. "Hello. Hi, this is Daniel from HR." Friendly voice, professional, my chest filled with hope so fast it almost hurt. "We just had a small question before sending the offer letter." Offer letter, offer, I closed my eyes and smiled. "Of course," I said. "So this might sound strange, we received a call this morning." My smile faded. A cold, familiar dread crawled up my spine. "A call," I whispered. "Yes." "From 2 people claiming to be your parents." The room started spinning. No, I hadn't told them. I hadn't told anyone. How? "They seemed very concerned," he continued. "They said you have a history of theft, that we should be careful." My legs gave out and I sat down on the edge of the bed. Same words, same script, like they had rehearsed it over and over for years. "I don't understand," I said weakly. "How would they even know I applied?" There was a pause. Then he said softly, "I'm sorry, but we can't take the risk." Click. Call ended just like that, everything gone again. I stared at the wall for a long time, no crying, no shouting, nothing, just silence. Then something strange happened. For the first time, I didn't feel sad. I felt angry, not loud anger, not explosive. Cold anger, sharp, focused. Because this wasn't coincidence anymore. This wasn't bad luck. This wasn't life being unfair. This was deliberate, planned, repeated. My own parents were hunting my future, systematically destroying every chance I got. And suddenly one thought became crystal clear. If they were willing to lie this much, then somewhere there had to be proof. And if there was proof, I was going to find it. No matter what, I didn't go home that day. Didn't want to see their faces. Didn't want to sit at the same dinner table where they pretended to be normal people. If I looked at them, I was scared I might actually scream. Or worse, break down. So instead, without really thinking, my feet carried me somewhere else. Somewhere familiar, somewhere safe. Grandma's house. It was only 15 minutes away, but the walk felt longer than usual. The sky was gray, heavy with clouds, like the whole world was holding its breath with me. Her porch light was already on, even though it wasn't dark yet. She always did that. Said the house should look welcoming. I knocked once. Before I could knock again, the door opened. Like she'd been waiting. She looked smaller than I remembered. Softer. Wrapped in her usual cardigan that smelled faintly of soap and tea leaves, but her eyes were sharp, always sharp. One look at me and she frowned. "You didn't get it," she said quietly. It wasn't a question. I swallowed. "How did you? I can see it on your face." That was it. No fake optimism. No maybe next time. Just understanding. And somehow that hurt more. I stepped inside. The house was warm. The ticking clock on the wall. The kettle already whistling in the kitchen. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. My chest cracked open. "They called them again," I said. My voice came out smaller than I expected. "They told them I steal just like always." Grandma didn't look surprised, not even a little. She just nodded slowly, like she had been expecting this exact sentence for years. "It took them this long to ruin another one," she muttered. I blinked. "What?" She sighed and motioned for me to sit. I was wondering when this would happen again. Again, the word hit me. "You knew," I asked. She met my eyes, calm, steady. "I've known for a long time." My heart skipped. "Knew what?" "That your parents have been making calls, talking to people, telling stories." Her voice hardened slightly. "Ugly stories." The room suddenly felt too small. "How long?" I whispered. "Years, years, while I was doubting myself, while I thought I was just unlucky, while I thought maybe I was the problem." "They think if you depend on them," she continued quietly, "you'll never leave. Some parents don't want their children independent. They want control." Control. That word fit too perfectly. I felt sick. "They're destroying my life," I said. "I know," she replied softly. Silence stretched between us. Then she did something strange. She stood up slowly and walked toward her bedroom. I heard a drawer open, something wooden scraping. When she came back, she was holding a small old metal box. Scratched. Locked, heavy, she placed it carefully on the table between us. The sound it made was solid, final. "I hoped I'd never need to give you this," she said. My eyes flicked from the box to her face. "What is it?" She rested her hand over mine, warm, steady. "I prepared for this day," she whispered. My heart started pounding again. "Prepared how?" She pushed the box closer. "Open it," she said, "if you're ready to stop being their victim." The key was already taped to the lid. For a long moment, I didn't touch the box. It just sat there between us on the small wooden table, old and scratched, like it had lived 100 lives before this one. Too heavy, too important. My heart was pounding so loudly I could actually hear it in my ears. Grandma didn't rush me. She simply poured tea into 2 cups and waited, like this was just another quiet afternoon. Like she hadn't just dropped the biggest mystery of my life in front of me. My fingers finally moved. The key was small, taped carefully to the lid. My hands shook as I peeled it off. "Grandma," I whispered, "what's inside?" She looked at me the way she used to when I was a kid about to learn something hard. "The truth," she said. The key slid into the lock with a soft click. For a second, I hesitated, because once you open something like this, there's no going back. No pretending, no doubting, just facts, and facts can hurt. But I turned it anyway. The lid creaked open. Inside wasn't money. Not jewelry, not anything dramatic like that. Just papers, folders, old USB drives, a small voice recorder. Neatly organized, dated, labeled, my stomach twisted. "What is all this?" I asked. "Evidence," Grandma said calmly. I picked up the first folder. My name was written on the tab. Inside were printed emails, screenshots, notes written in her careful handwriting, dates, times, names of businesses. Then I saw something that made my breath stop. Call logs, dozens of them. My parents' phone number, outgoing calls to places I recognized, the grocery store, the bookstore, the cafe, the warehouse, every single job I had ever lost, documented. My chest tightened. "No way," I muttered. My hands moved faster now, flipping pages. Then I found the recorder. "Press play," Grandma said softly. My thumb hovered, then clicked. Static. Then my mother's voice, clear as day. "I'm just warning you, they steal. We've had money disappear for years." My father laughing quietly in the background. "Yeah, don't say we didn't tell you." My entire body went cold. It wasn't suspicion. It wasn't misunderstanding, it wasn't concern, it was deliberate, calculated, cruel. They sounded casual, relaxed, like they were talking about the weather, like ruining my life was just another chore. There were more recordings, different days, different employers, same lies, same tone. Sometimes they even joked. "One less place they'll run off to," my dad said in one clip. And they both laughed, my vision blurred. I didn't even realize I was crying until a tear hit the paper in my hand. All those nights I blamed myself. All those moments I thought maybe I wasn't good enough. All those times I wondered if something was wrong with me. And the truth was someone had believed me the whole time. Grandma, she'd been quietly collecting everything, watching, waiting, protecting me in the only way she could. "You did all this for me?" I asked, voice breaking. She smiled gently. "Someone had to." Something changed inside me right then. The sadness didn't disappear, but it hardened, turned into something sharper, stronger, not pain, purpose. I carefully closed the folder and wiped my eyes. "They wanted to destroy my reputation," I said slowly. Grandma nodded. I looked back at the box, at the recordings, at years of proof. Then I said the first steady sentence I'd spoken all day. "Good." She raised an eyebrow. "Because now," I said, "I'm going to destroy their lies." I didn't sleep that night, not because I was anxious, not because I was scared, but because for the first time in years my mind wasn't drowning in confusion. It was clear, sharp, focused, like fog had finally lifted. The metal box sat open on my bed, papers spread around me like puzzle pieces. Every rejection, every ruined opportunity, every humiliation, it all made sense now. Not fate, not bad luck. Not me, them. It had always been them, and somehow that truth didn't weaken me. It steadied me, because if they caused it, then I could stop it. I went back to Grandma's kitchen around 3 a.m. She was already awake, sitting with her tea like she hadn't slept either. "You're planning," she said without looking up. I nodded. "Yeah," she smiled faintly. "Good, planning beats crying." I sat across from her and laid everything out. "I'm going to apply somewhere new," I said. "But this time I tell them first. I warn them my parents might call." Grandma nodded. "Then when they do call, we record it again, but officially." "Smart," she said. "And after that," I continued, my voice steadier than I expected, "I talked to a lawyer." The word felt heavy, serious, adult. Defamation, harassment, false accusations. This wasn't family drama anymore. This was damage, real damage, years of lost income, lost opportunities, lost dignity. And suddenly I wasn't scared of fighting them. I was angry I hadn't fought sooner. The next morning I applied for another job, a mid-sized logistics company across town. Good pay, office position. The kind my parents would hate me getting. I almost smiled thinking about it. Then casually, like it meant nothing, I mentioned it at dinner that evening. "I might have an interview next week," I said, poking at my food. Both of them looked up instantly, too quickly, too interested. "Oh, really?" My mom said sweetly. "Where?" I shrugged. "Just somewhere nearby." My dad nodded slowly, pretending not to care, but I saw it, that look, that calculation behind their eyes, the same look hunters must have before setting traps. Except this time, they didn't realize the trap wasn't for me. For the first time in years, I wasn't the scared kid waiting to be blamed. I wasn't the confused teenager wondering what I did wrong. I wasn't the exhausted adult thinking maybe life just hated me. I had proof, recordings, dates, witnesses, and most importantly, someone who believed me. Grandma reached over under the table and squeezed my hand gently. A silent signal, you're not alone anymore. That simple touch gave me more strength than anything else, because now I understood something clearly. They had spent years trying to make me look like a thief, trying to steal my jobs, my future, my confidence. But they made one mistake. They forgot about the one person who saw everything. The one person who planned ahead. The one person who quietly saved every piece of truth. Grandma didn't just protect me, she armed me. And this time, when my parents picked up the phone to ruin my life, I'd be ready.